As families get together for Thanksgiving, there's a big elephant in the room, and it's spelled GOP.
Differences we've had in the past have been easy to overlook, but I feel like I won't be able to bite my tongue as much this time around, so a bit worried.
Hi, and welcome back to the Front Porch Movement, a podcast devoted to civic engagement, where we hear stories from real people about their hopes and dreams, and these days about their anxiety. I'm your host, Ted Canova. This week we'll be stuffing the turkey, stuffing ourselves, but not stuffing our feelings. Around the Thanksgiving table, there will be plenty of shades of blue and shades of red, and pretty much open season for political talk as we slice up this election. It's a divide that families haven't really seen since the Vietnam era, but this time around it crosses generations, both young and old standing together on either side of the fence. This divide at this time of the year has elevated the anxiety for people like Tom, who I met at a Brooklyn restaurant. He isn't just heading home for the holidays, heck, he's bringing a friend along into the lion's den. We moved our conversation to the front door, away from the loud music, but as you'll hear, into the path of incoming customers. We're a couple of weeks away from the election. Have you reconciled it?
No, I'm still dealing with it and processing. It's been wavering back and forth between just hopeless sadness and trying to figure out how to pull myself up and find a way to help. So I'm very upset about the results of the election and have a feeling that I've been complacent leading up to it. So now I'm just trying to convert the sadness and anger and whatever feelings into something actionable.
Complacent. Did you vote?
Oh, I absolutely voted, but as far as involvement in politics and activism, and yeah.
Will that change as a result of this result?
Yeah, I'm looking at transition jobs and try and figure out how I can apply my skills or learn new skills to apply it to some political action.
Where do you work? You don't have to say specifically, but what sector? What do you do?
I work for a small tech startup in Chicago. I'm a web developer.
It's a shame because activism would have no need for somebody who had anything to do with websites.
Yeah, they absolutely need engineering and design help, so I'm sure there are opportunities.
All right, Tom, I've interviewed some other people regarding the election and the results, and I asked the question, Trump supporters say, get over it, we won. Why can't you?
Because I think this is much more and considerably different than just being upset about one party winning over the other. There are a lot of people that are feeling fearful, and I personally, being from a privileged group, am not concerned about my own safety or my own rights, but I am very concerned, about those of my friends and about, the future of democracy and, making sure our institutions can remain functional and inclusive and democratic.
But again, the democratic process is there's a winner and a loser. Can you reconcile why, being on the losing side, you can't accept it and get over it?
I was young when Bush got elected, but I was of voting age and voted in the 2012 election. And frankly, in 2012, I was leaning more conservative. So in some senses, I was on the losing side in that election. But the overwhelming feeling was, this is a difference of policy opinion, and we can kind of wait and see how it goes. Whereas with this, I just can't shake the feeling that because of the somewhat alarming rhetoric toward the media and toward traditions democratic traditions that we have that aren't written in law being broken, and how difficult it is to come back from that. So, for instance, the President-elect Trump being dodgy with the media and not wanting to have a press pool follow him, the presence of the press in the White House is not written into the Constitution. It's a precedent, it's a tradition. So things like that, him breaking it isn't violating any rules, so he could absolutely do that, but I fear that it'll be very difficult to restore those traditions and institutions once they're broken down, because we haven't been without them for so long that it's hard to imagine having to fight for them and having to teach people coming of age in this political climate what it's like to have those.
So I'm going to presume that you're a millennial. Is that right?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Have a nice dinner. Tom, how old are you?
I'm 24.
So you're 24. You know, somebody like me who's more than twice as old as you knows what the fight was like over nuclear power and over abortion and over all kinds of civil rights. Do you think your generation took for granted all of the progress that was made on all of these social issues and either thought, I'm going to vote third party or I'm just not going to vote?
I don't think so. So I do think we take for granted not having to fight. And
Millennials take for granted, do you think?
yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to speak for an entire age demographic. But yeah, I personally have taken for granted the tendency toward progress that I've seen in my life. I frankly don't think third-party voting was a major concern. Like, you know, we saw all the statistics. Go ahead. About the number of third-party voters adding up to the difference in a lot of states. But I don't have any moral problem with third-party voting. In fact, like I lean more toward some libertarian ideas, not all of them. I voted Democratic in this election, but I think it's a bit misguided to blame the failure of one political party on the popularity of another one. And I think the Democrats have to reconcile why certain voters left and how to bring them back. And I think there's also a bit of an assumption that third-party voters are mostly coming from the left because libertarian ideology leans more right. On
a scale of 1 to 10, if 10 is great, what is your hope? Can you put a number on your hope right now for the future?
At the risk of sounding pessimistic, all right, let's say 5. So I think the scariest part of the Trump presidency is the uncertainty around who he'll be, or maybe 4. So my reasoning for that is regardless of how Trump acts, we now have a unified Republican front. So like there will be a conservative agenda pushed, regardless of whether he's incompetent or actually, the leader of this, alt-right and white supremacist, white nationalist movement. So I would say 4, and I don't want that to come off as feeling as though there's nothing to be done, but I am deeply concerned, and I think the push to accept it and to make nice and to normalize what's happening is a serious danger, and yeah, we need to fight complacency and keep questioning every decision that's made, because a lot of them are unprecedented. Like a lot of the appointments that are being floated around are either like extremely to the right of, establishment conservatism or outside of politics altogether. Like, hiring the, former CEO of a news organization is a bit unprecedented, and I would put it at a 4, but with the disclaimer that there is a fight to be had, and I think it can be successful.
This Thanksgiving, you're going to Connecticut with a friend, and while the two of you are blue, you're going to face a red family?
Yeah, so I'm one of 3 siblings, a sister 10 years older than me and a brother 10 years younger. My sister's very liberal as well. My father's fairly conservative, and my mom... And I would say both of them are socially liberal people, so I think their allegiance to the Republican Party is a bit misguided. But yes, they tend to vote right.
Do you have anxiety heading up there?
A bit, yeah. I'm worried. Like, I was very excited to have my friend come home with me, and now I'm worried that, because I love my family, and Thanksgiving's always a lot of fun, and like, I like, the craziness around my family, but I'm worried that it will be a bit darker this time. Like we fight about things all the time, but in a fun, dysfunctional family kind of way. And I am worried, and like, because differences we've had in the past have been easy to overlook, but I feel like I won't be able to bite my tongue as much this time around. So, a bit worried.
Good luck, okay, Tom?
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for talking with me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to interview me.
Chances are we'll all be fine this Thanksgiving weekend, that it won't be as bad as we think. And heck, if it is, there's always football. Come Friday, millions will be in the grips of shopping and eating leftovers, and then by Sunday, we'll all return to our lives and the uncertainty facing America. But family dysfunction pales in comparison to what many others fear. There's Karen, a first-generation Mexican-American who feels abandoned and disenfranchised by the election results. I invite you to listen to my interview with Karen, along with others from this past year, on your favorite podcast channel or at our website, frontporchmovement.com. If you like what you hear, help spread the word, share our work with your friends, follow us, like us, even write a review on iTunes. It'll all raise our profile online and help others find us. Thanks for doing your part and for listening to the Front Porch Movement, a voice in civic engagement with stories that inform, connect, and inspire. I'm your host, Ted Canova. See you next time.